Hello again, everyone. We're back on. I hope you enjoyed this last break of the day. We're now going to hear Andrew Tavener tell us all the great things about fleet compliance. Andrew heads up our UK marketing team, and he also plays quite an important role in the fleet compliance space, but he will tell you all about this now himself. So Andrew, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Paul, and good afternoon to everybody from a rainy Chippenham in England. The title of this talk is A Compliance-First Approach to Fleet Optimization. What I'll be doing is looking at how you get the right balance between maintaining compliance with complex rules and regulation that govern your drivers and vehicles and optimizing the fleet operation itself. I just want to talk about some of the challenges that I think anybody that's in road transport within the EU can probably recognize most of these challenges on this list. If you look at driver shortages in the UK alone, it's been reported by the Road Haulage Association that the industry is short of between 45 and 50,000 heavy goods vehicle drivers. Indeed, one leading retailer over Christmas actually blamed the slowdown in business on the shortage of drivers, that they couldn't actually get stuff out delivered in time. Growth in e-commerce is hopefully something you've already heard about, and I think the UK is one of the strongest growing areas for e-commerce and home delivery, in fact. But it creates challenges in meeting delivery expectations of consumers and actually handling the increase in returns. Today, customers will order the same item in various sizes, knowing full well they're going to return 2 or 3 that they don't want. Congestion is something that we can all probably appreciate and see almost every day. Again, going to the UK, a recent study in the UK showed that the average time a delivery driver spent in congested traffic jams was 32 hours a year. And it's estimated that cost the industry something like £31 billion in wasted fuel and productivity, which is an average of £1,000 per driver per year. So we're wasting an awful lot of time and money in congestion. Security is not something I'm going to dwell on, but we've all seen the devastating impact on the public, drivers, of security breaches. And fuel costs continue to rise. So we see rises in costs. In the past 8 weeks in the UK, we've seen fuel rise by 9 pence per litre. And this has been driven by increased cost of crude oil and fluctuations in exchange rates. Now, all of these challenges, the reason I'm bringing them up, have to be met whilst maintaining compliance with rules and regulation that govern, drivers, vehicles, and transport operations. And all operators are looking to get, the maximum efficiency, because if you've got demand and a lack of drivers, how do you meet that? Well, we've got customers, one in the UK, that delivered a 35% increase in delivery capacity just through fleet optimization. So customers are looking for that next step. How do you get to that next level of optimization? So for customers or operators that are looking to get to the ultimate in optimization and drive the fleet operation as hard as they can, do you give your drivers an impossible choice when you do that, where they either exceed their legal driver hours to make the delivery or miss the delivery to maintain compliance with EU driver's hours? Either way, it's an impossible choice to make. On the other hand, are you playing it safe? Are you being so conservative with complying with EU driver's hours law that the fleet is not fully optimized and used effectively within the boundaries of the law? Of course, the trick is to have compliance and fleet optimization in perfect balance. And the difficulty with these two things is traditionally these responsibilities have been held within different functions within many transport operations. Compliance is normally the legal responsibility of the transport manager. whereas the fleet optimization could be operations, logistics, or other functions. I just want to introduce Descartes SmartCompliance solution, where it fits in with Descartes' overall routing, mobile, and telematics portfolio. You've already heard about some of the routing solutions and mobile applications. SmartCompliance is our fleet compliance management portfolio, and we'll talk a little bit more about this. But Descartes is the only supplier that I'm aware of that has that breadth of solutions that covers the compliance and effectively the management of the operation in terms of optimization and delivery. So, introducing SmartCompliance. This may be the first time many of you have heard the term, but SmartCompliance is really our umbrella term that we give to a suite of software-as-a-service applications we provide for fleets of all sizes, in fact. And the key word in the application is smart, because it makes it easy to comply with rules and regulations that apply to road transport operations throughout the EU. So in fact, lightens the burden in keeping your operation legal, so actually you can spend more time focusing on the business. Today that consists of three elements. Smartanalysis is our tachograph analysis and reporting, so that is used to maintain compliance with the Working Time Directive and EU driver's hours. SmartLicense is our application in the UK for checking licenses issued by the DVLA. And SmartCheck is a walk-around vehicle check app, which will be available in the very near future. Just a bit of background on Smartanalysis. It's used by 4 of the top 9 road transport companies by turnover in the UK, in over 8,000 customers, in 12,000 locations, and there are about 20,000 users on the system. We are currently analysing over 1.3 million tachograph downloads and charts every single month. The beauty of the system is it's completely scalable, so it doesn't matter if you're a one-man owner-operator through to the largest fleet in the company. It all works the same. In terms of compliance, there are essentially 3 big steps to managing tachograph data. The first rule that you need to be aware of and need to stick to is actually downloading the tachograph data in the first place. Now, when a driver is driving a vehicle with a digital tachograph, he has to insert his driver's card, and the data on that card needs to be downloaded at least every 28 days. And we would advocate doing it sooner so you can spot and deal with any infringements faster. There's also the vehicle unit data. This is the data that's held on behalf of the vehicle in the tachograph head itself. And the EU law says that has to be downloaded every 90 days. And again, we would recommend you download that far more frequently than that, and probably on a weekly or monthly basis at least, to deal with any issues. So that is step 1, and that's probably the very most basic level of meeting your compliance obligations. The next level is actually using that information. It's not enough to say to the authorities, well, I've downloaded the data. You actually need to show you're using the data to manage the business. And that means a form of analysis and reporting so you know where you're complying, not complying. And the reason for that is if there are infringements where you've exceeded perhaps driver's hours or not downloaded driver card data, that you can actually show the authorities, A, you are aware of it, and B, you've acted on that infringement and done something about it. The important thing to note is that these rules exist not because of bureaucracy. We want to tie people up in processes. They exist for road safety reasons. Again, looking at data in the UK, fatigue and tiredness is the #1 cause of accidents on our major roads in the UK, and it's still the #1 offence reported by the authority. If we look at the tachograph analysis and driver's hours compliance, which is Smartanalysis, in a little bit more detail, we have the umbrella solution, Smartanalysis, and that is the service that you log on to for the analysis. It also has 2 other tools and elements to it, something called Smart Download, This is automatic remote download of tachograph data. So essentially, we put a black box in the vehicle and it sends the data for analysis automatically while the vehicle is being driven. Or we can use a telematics device in the vehicle to do the same job. Some of our customers do this and it saves downloading the vehicle unit data of about 20 minutes per vehicle every time they do it. So there can be some significant savings there. Smart Debrief is a tool that's available on the system. And I mentioned earlier, it's not enough to know that you have infringements and offending drivers. You need to show the authorities that you're dealing with it and managing the problem. What Smart Debrief does is provide a tool that shows that evidence. So it's a debriefing tool where you can talk to drivers about any infringements and report the reason for it and any corrective actions given to the drivers. So if the authority came and wanted to know what you're doing about certain infringements, you can actually show them an auditable trail of how that happened. So the title was, compliance first in optimizing fleet resources. One of the most important things you can get, and I had a question from a customer last week. They said when a new job comes in, they don't know who they can give it to because they're not really aware of the driver's hours situation with each driver. So with Smartanalysis, you can do something called pre-shift checks, which means you can view a driver's infringement and availability before they start work. So this will tell you the remaining daily driver time, remaining weekly drive time, daily rest periods, and more. So this is quite important, particularly if you're using agency drivers or ad hoc drivers, so you know how much room they have available for your work before you actually start assigning work. So you're not kind of importing infringements and problems before they even start driving for you. So the first step is downloading data. With Smartanalysis, it is very, very simple. Smartanalysis lives in the cloud. It's a software as a service application, so you log on online anytime, any place. And simply, you send us the tachograph data. The system does all the analysis and then makes that data, the analysis, and reports available online, or you can have them sent straight to your email inbox. So it's very simple. The only task an operator would have is send the data to us. If you still have analog tachograph charts, we're still doing a reasonable amount of that, but clearly we think they would disappear by about 2020. You simply pop them in the post, or you can scan them to us. We will put that data onto the system, and what you will get is an integrated, seamless analysis with your digital data. So it all works as one, and it's as simple as, I say, putting the charts in the post. For digital data, there are a number of options. Probably the most cost-effective is to use something called remote download, and we mentioned that slightly earlier. And this is where we put a black box, or we use a telematics device in the vehicle, and that will send both the driver card data and the vehicle unit data to Smartanalysis whilst that vehicle is in operation. Now, the big advantage of that is you haven't got to keep reminding your drivers to come in and download their cards, or you haven't got to spend time downloading the vehicle unit data. Now, the vehicle unit data, if you're taking 90 days worth of data, can take 20 to 30 minutes to download from a vehicle. So if you're doing it all the time in real time while the vehicle is being used or to a set schedule, you're potentially saving 20, 30 minutes for that vehicle to be coming back to the yard for you to get the data, which could be a problem if you've got a large fleet, but is also a problem if you're a very small operator. I had a customer that's a small operator, and the biggest problem she had was getting the driver to come in and with his driver's card to download the data. Here you don't have to because it will happen automatically. The other way is to have devices connected to a computer in an office or depot. You simply need a card reader and a download tool for getting the data off the tachograph. These are available, and we actually sell them in our online shop, and they're quite a quick and easy way of doing it. For offices that have no IT infrastructure, no computer, we can put a box in the office called a DigiPost Pro. This doesn't need any IT infrastructure, operates over mobile networks, and it simply scans, takes a reading of the card, or the VU download tool and sends that data to Smartanalysis over the mobile networks. So that is a very, very simple way. So it needs no IT support, no infrastructure. It's just a box on the wall. Once the data is sent over the cloud to us, it's available. The data is there. It's always there. You can analyze it anytime, any place you have an internet connection. You can see the data. You can dive into the reports. You can subscribe to reports and have them sent to you straight to your email, or run any ad hoc reports available. And there are around about 100 reports available on the system. So 100 reports is an awful lot, and there are probably about 5 or 6 which are the favorites, which most people would use. But just to make it a little bit easier, and to work with a number of different companies we operate with, we can group them into different responsibilities. So there's a group of reports which makes sense for somebody that is just in charge of a depot, and it will just relate to his depot vehicles and his drivers. There's something called a regional manager report as well. So that regional manager could see a number of depots in a region in the country. Or there's a group compliance manager, as some of the big companies have. And they can see the reports and analysis and data right across the entire company, across all depots. So they can be grouped in that way. We also have something called earned recognition KPIs. Earned recognition is an initiative that was launched by the Driver and Vehicle Standards Agency in the UK. And the concept here is that if you provide evidence in advance to show your compliance, the authorities leave you alone. They won't stop your vehicles and do any spot checks. So we provide key performance indicators and are an accredited supplier for that important initiative in the UK. You can also pick your own reports and stick them in the favourites group and save them there. And as I said, the easiest way is to subscribe to reports and have them sent straight to your email inbox. So on a Monday, for example, you might want the weekly reports on driver card downloads to see which driver cards are due, who's done it, who's not done it, and any problems that way. These are just some of the common reports. Driver infringement summary bar chart. So this is just a simple bar chart that shows any infringements by driver. And this is where the system starts to become smart, because it's taking raw data and giving you a report which will enable you to focus on the driver with the biggest problem.
Sorry, Andrew, on which slide should we be here?
This is 160.
Okay, I am on 160, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're talking about a report, but I can't see a report. I'm on...
no, I'm going to go through the list, and then I'll show some examples.
Okay, sorry for the confusion. Apologies.
Driver's hours law is an important one, and so is the working time directive. And again, having a weekly summary of the position on that is an important and common one. Something that can help with, we talked about, optimizing the fleet. Driver and vehicle utilization is a good one to have, and you can marry that with the driver's hours law as well to see, the utilization versus driver's hours compliance to make sure you are exerting both of those in the maximum you can. Fixed penalty by driver. Again, most of police authorities do issue fixed penalties for certain offences, a fine on the side of a road, so we can show those. And the driver card and VU download reports to show that you are complying with downloading those driver cards every 28 days and the vehicle units every 90 days. And here are just some examples. This is the driver card download compliance bar chart. A lot of these charts are available in different flavours and different formats, but this shows, it's not an extremely clear picture from what I'm seeing, but the ones that are mostly green are the ones I'd be less concerned about. The ones that with lots of red are the ones that are showing, 50% of the time that card is downloaded on time. So they're the drivers I would be most concerned about. I think the authorities don't expect perfection, because nothing ever is, and there are always good reasons why something doesn't happen. But you need to show you do understand where the problem areas are and you are dealing with them. So this is infringements bar chart by drivers. So we have 3 drivers here. We have Mr. Jim Farnell with 20 points. The way this scheme works is that points are allocated in the system against certain types of infringements, and that is configurable against your own operator scheme. But again, this shows you that he may be getting 5 points for every driver's hours infringement, for example, or it could be 10 points for a serious one. But it shows you, it gives you a graphical way of showing, I need to speak to Jim. I need to understand why he's got the most infringements. Is there a good reason for it? If not, does Jim need training or help or advice, or does he need disciplinary? This is a chart showing working time directive weekly report. It's quite a complex chart, but you've got the three colours. The green is 40 hours, the yellow or orange is less than 60, and then the grey across the chart is more than 60. So you show the activities against those working time directive targets. So again, you can drill down into that by driver as well. This is what I mentioned, the vehicle utilisation. So we've got the vehicle by registration, as you see on the vertical axis, and you can see the vehicle D63 CCC is the one that's least utilised. So maybe there's an opportunity of getting rid of a vehicle or taking on more work. But again, it's a useful tool in looking at optimization in the context of compliance and driver's hours. For managing infringements, we mentioned we have a tool called Smart Debrief. This is essentially a tool that's available within Smartanalysis. It's a configurable driver debriefing facility. So a lot of larger operators will have their own disciplinary schemes, and that can actually be put into play with Smart Debrief. So the basic concept is for each infringement you will get a number of points. And points in this case does not win prizes, it means escalation levels. So you could get a number of points, and when it gets to a certain level, it will get to an escalation, which could be an interview with the transport manager. If it's more serious than that, or he's been spoken to by the transport manager and you get more points, it could be going up to the next level. Ultimately up to, I guess, firing someone. But the idea is here is you have points for infringements and escalations. And that is all defined within Smart Debrief to meet your exact requirements. And, when you've got a lot of drivers, you're talking, I guess, anything at 50 upwards, managing, how well they're complying and dealing with any issues can be quite a cumbersome burden for, one transport manager. So this is a useful tool in, first of all, understanding who the problem drivers are and actually showing that you've dealt with them and hopefully improving them. We've had operators that have improved infringement levels and reduced them by 50% using this kind of technology. The important point from the authorities' perspective, as I said, they don't expect perfection. They will understand that operators will have things like driver's hours infringements because of traffic delays and unforeseen problems. And they will understand that drivers will have problems. But what they do expect is that A, you recognise it, and B, you have dealt with it and had a conversation with the driver. So this auditable trail of that conversation and the actions and the sign-off by the driver are really important. And here's just some example screens showing drivers, infringements, and the points that they've got. And you can drill down further into that. I won't go through these in detail because they're quite detailed reports. And this actually shows an infringement over 3 daily rest reductions. And it shows the reasons why for that and points allocated. Again, this records the reasons why and any points allocated for an infringement, and this is all logged on the system. So just summarising some of the features and benefits. First of all, it's a web-based service, so you can access it anytime, any place you have internet access. It's quick and easy to get started. If you sign up, you can be using it in hours. The data is safe. It's in our data centres. It's backed up. It's secure and always available. It provides an integrated analysis of analog and digital data. Digital is going away, but it's going to be here for at least another 2 years. For fleets that have for more than 50 drivers, you can pay as you go. For fleets with less than 50 drivers, you can actually pay for a subscription of 12 months to 5 years. And there are no additional charges, no charges for vehicle unit downloads. All the reporting and all the capabilities within the system are all part of the service. When you first log on to the system, there's a user dashboard, and you can configure this with widgets to show the most important information to yourself. So there could be driver card downloads, it could be driver's hours compliance, whatever it is. But it gives you a very quick, instant picture of compliance for that depot, that region, or that entire operation in one simple dashboard. Another important feature which helps with the smart aspects of the solution is Smart Alert. It's quite a task, if you've got 50, 100 drivers, maybe more, to look through reports and look for infringements and see infringements highlighted in a report. So we've made that easier, and that we can set up something called Smart Alerts, so that we can send you an automated email alert to something that needs your immediate action. So if you get to day 25 and Fred has not downloaded his driver card, we can send you an automated email alert to tell you that. You haven't got to look at reports to find that out. There are over 100 reports, so there's a report for everything. So you will not find any problem in finding information that you need. And the reports also make it easy to see what's going on, and it turns the data into information that you can use, and it also turns into information that you can share company-wide. The transport manager in an operation has responsibility right up to the directors responsible for the business, so it makes it easy to report on the compliance aspects. I mentioned the key performance indicators for the DVSA's earned recognition in the UK. This, I think, is something that's going to grow and will be a big marketing tool for transport operators in the UK. Because by having that earned recognition accreditation, it sends a message to their customers that they are a serious compliant operator, which means they are less likely to be stopped by the DVSA, so they're more likely to be delivering on time, etc. We make life easy by subscribing to reports and have them sent straight to your email inbox, which means actually you don't have to do anything with the system. If the data is coming through, you can just look at the reports as and when they come through to you. We provide tools to manage the drivers and minimize infringements, and we discuss Smart Debrief as an example of that. And the full audit trail, as I said, to show the authorities you are taking all the reasonable steps to manage infringements down. It's not enough just to know that you are infringing. I've just got a couple quotes here from some of our international clients. This is GIST in Europe. Before using Descartes, managing compliance for our large, widely dispersed fleet in Europe was a time-consuming and labour-intensive operation. And they've extended the use into the UK, Netherlands, Austria, Italy, Czech Republic, France, and Scandinavia. And they've driven efficiencies in their business. The other good thing is that they can then compare and look at compliance performance across these different geographic areas and see if there is any difference and why that difference may exist, which means you can kind of benchmark and learn from the best in class. These rules on driver's hours and tachograph data are EU laws from EU regulations, so they are enforced across Europe in the same way. This is from Virginia International Logistics, who are based in Ireland, and they're echoing what I said. Smartanalysis, what it says, it's smart. It saves them money, it produces clear, concise reports that assist in achieving their own internal KPIs. So just as a summary, why Descartes SmartCompliance? First of all, it works for fleets of all sizes, from the very, very largest, and we've got some of the biggest operators in the industry on the system, right down to one man and his truck. So it works for everybody. It's completely scalable. It's integrated analog and digital for operations that have mixed fleets. We can also do driver license and driver CPC verification and vehicle checks. So, you're getting more of a complete picture of compliance of not only things like driver's hours and tachograph data, but ensuring that the driver has his CPC accreditation, and the vehicle checks are also being performed. It has extensive reporting capabilities and earned recognition and smart alerts. The data is held in accredited to ISO 27001. So we are accredited to that standard for information security. And it starts to link that world of compliance management and fleet optimization. The talk was about, compliance first approach to fleet optimization and making sure you get that in balance. So you're not operating so conservatively on compliance that you're not fully optimizing the fleet, also not driving the fleet so hard you're giving that driver the impossible choice of breaking his driver's hours law or missing a delivery. Descartes has the tools and solutions in both of those camps and can help keep both of those in check.